A heavy rain pounded the rusted rooftops of Ibadan on the night the twin girls were born. In a crowded maternity clinic lit by a single bulb, their young mother labored in pain and hope. When the first baby's wail called through the humid air just past midnight, the nurses smiled. Taiwo had arrived, the child who tests the world first. Moments later, the second girl emerged quieter, as if reluctant. Kehinde, the one who comes after. For an instant, the exhausted mother held both infants at her breast, whispering prayers of thanks in Yoruba. But destiny had other plans. By dawn, only one tiny girl remained swaddled in her mother's arms. The other had vanished into the chaos of the night, carried away by forces beyond the mother's reach. Unknown to the sleeping city, two lives that began together were already set on a diverging path. Yet, some bonds are not so easily broken. Yoruba elders often say, "How destiny has written that our life will be, so shall it be." Though separated by circumstance, the twins' fates remained entwined. In the silent dawn, as the mother wept for her lost child, a warm breeze stirred the curtains, and an unseen presence seemed to hover, a promise whispered by the ancestors that what is separated by man's hands can be reunited by the hands of fate. 24 years later, a young woman named Tai Oladipo woke to the sound of roosters crowing and the muffled call to prayer from a distant mosque. Morning light spilled through the slats of wooden window onto the one-room apartment she shared with her grandmother. Tai stretched on her thin foam mattress, listening to grandma's soft humming of a Yoruba hymn as she lit the charcoal stove. It was a new day in Bodija, one of Ibadan's bustling neighborhoods, and the familiar aromas of cocoa, pap rice porridge, and frying akara wafted in from a nearby compound. Despite the modesty of her surroundings, Tai greeted the day with energy. She tied a threadbare Ankara scarf around her head, greeting her grandmother with a warm "Ẹ káàárọ̀, Mami," "Good morning, Mommy," as she affectionately called her grandma. Grandma Ajoke, a petite woman with graying hair under her own head scarf, responded with a smile. "Ẹ káàárọ̀, did you sleep well, my dear?" she asked in Yoruba. "Yes, ma," Tai lied cheerfully, though in truth, her night had been restless. She had had that strange dream again, the one where she was speaking with someone who looked just like her, a faceless sister, blurred around the edges. Waking up always left her with an ache she couldn't explain. Perhaps it was just loneliness. Being an only child could feel that way, yet she often felt as if a part of her was missing. It was an urge she tried to shake off as she helped Grandma dish out the hot cocoa into bowls. Their morning routine was simple. After a quick meal, Tai would escort Grandma to her kiosk by the roadside, where the older woman sold provisions, tins of pig milk, sugar, bread, matches to neighbors. Then Tai would head to Songo Market to buy fabric for her sewing business. At 24, she was an enterprising tailor, sewing Ankara dresses and school uniforms for clients around the neighborhood. Work was steady but barely lucrative. Many nights, she stitched by candlelight when NEPA took light, the city's frequent power outages. Still, she remained optimistic that better days would come. Grandma Ajoke often admired Tai's resilience. "Omodara, a good child," she would say, patting her granddaughter's shoulder. Tai had been raised with love, though they had little. Her mother, Grandma's only daughter, had died young when Taye was just a toddler. Of Taye's father, little was known. He had vanished before the twins were born, leaving the pregnant mother to fend for herself. Twins, yes, there had been two babies, though Taye grew up believing her twin sister died at birth. It was a secret, cloaked in sorrow. Grandma Ajoke rarely spoke of that night, and Taye had learned not to ask too much questions. All she had was a single crumbling photograph of her mother holding a newborn herself, and an empty space next to them where her twin might have been. Sometimes, when no one was around, Taye would trace that empty space and wonder. That morning, as Taye navigated the narrow alleys of Bodija with a basin balanced on her head, she greeted familiar faces. "How far, Taye?" called Shadi, her childhood friend, from her store where she sold tomatoes. "I dey oh, Shade. I just dey go market," Taye answered in a mix of English and Pidgin, flashing a bright smile. They chatted briefly about an upcoming Owambe party in the neighborhood that weekend. Shade teased, "Better sew one correct style for yourself oh. Who knows, you might meet Prince Charming there." Taye laughed, adjusting the basin. "Me? I'm just going to enjoy jollof rice and dance, jare. No time for Prince matter." She waved and continued on. Despite her jokes, Taye did nurture private dreams. Not so much of Prince Charming, but of making it big as a fashion designer in Lagos or even abroad one day. She followed Instagram pages of Nigerian fashion houses religiously whenever she could afford mobile data. In her small notebook, she sketched dress ideas inspired by style she saw. Maybe someday, she thought, one of those dreams would come true. At the open-air Songo market in Ibadan, Taye haggled fiercely in Yoruba with fabric sellers. "Ha, sister me, this price is too much oh. Shey you won't kill me?" she exclaimed at a trader quoting an exorbitant price for lace material. The man laughed, enjoying the bargaining ritual, and soon enough Taye walked away with a bundle of colorful Ankara clothes at a reasonable price. The market was alive with typical Ibadan vibrancy, traders calling out deals, bus conductors shouting "Oja, Oja," and the ever-present smell of fried plantain, mixing with exhaust from Okadas, motorbike taxis, weaving through. By noon, the sun was high and unforgiving. Taye ducked under an umbrella-shaded store to buy a cold pure water sachet. As she sipped and relaxed for a moment, her mind drifted again to the recurring dream. In the market's noisy throng, she almost thought she saw that familiar phantom, a glimpse of a young woman with her exact same slim build and amber eyes, disappearing around a corner. Taye shook her head. "This heat is doing me one kind," she thought, attributing to the vision to exhaustion. She had plenty of real-world worries to focus on: an upcoming client fitting, grandma's clinic bills for her arthritis, and perhaps most urgently, the plan she had been quietly nurturing, moving to Lagos. The Lagos idea had taken root when a former classmate offered to help Taye find a better paying job in the big city. Shade and Grandma were anxious about it. "Lagos is not being so," Shade warned. "Life in Eko is fast and rough, but opportunities dey there, sha." Grandma simply sighed, not wanting her only surviving granddaughter far away, but knowing there might be better fortune for her beyond Ibadan. Yoruba people say, the city that refuses to train her child either cannot or chooses not to. Ibadan had given Taye a start, but perhaps Lagos would give her a future. That evening, Taye sat outside their home with Grandma Ajoke, peeling yams for dinner under a purple-orange sunset sky. She mustered the courage to speak her mind. "Mommy, I got a message from Ronke. You remember my classmate who lives in Lagos now? She said there is an opening as a sales assistant at a boutique in Lagos Island. She can get me an interview. I am thinking of going. Her heart thudded as she said it. Grandma was silent for a long moment, only the soft swish of her knife on the yam skin between them. At last, the old woman spoke quietly in Yoruba. Taye, you are my eyes. If you go to Lagos, who will stay here with this old woman? Taye's eyes filled. Mommy, it's not like that. I will come home often and I will send money. I want to do more for you. Ibadan, the jobs here, they are not enough. In Lagos, I can earn money and maybe save to open a big shop of my own one day. This is for us, Mommy. She held Grandma's hand in hers. Ajoke studied her granddaughter's earnest face. In it, she saw the reflection of her late daughter's determination. Perhaps it was also fate moving. After all, this child was one of a pair, a twin. And twins in Yoruba belief carry strong destinies. She had never told Taye, but the night she lost the other baby, she had consulted a babalawo, a diviner. The babalawo had carved a small wooden figure to represent the deceased twin spirit, a tradition to honor a lost twin and protect the living one. For years, Grandma Ajoke had kept that figure wrapped in white clothes, offering prayers on the girl's birthday. The babalawo had told her something cryptic too. The child you think is lost is not gone. In her own time, she will find her way. Ajoke never fully understood if he meant in spirit or in life. Now, watching Taye yearned for something beyond her grasp. She wondered if sending Taye to Lagos might be the key to unlocking that prophecy. So, with a heavy but hopeful heart, Grandma Ajoke nodded. You can go, my dear, but you must be very careful. Lagos is full of both good and bad people. Taye broke into a relieved grin. Thank you, Mommy. I promise I'll be fine. God is with me. She embraced the old woman, who wiped away a tear and began to hum a prayerful tune, entrusting her granddaughter to destiny's care. That same night, some 130 kilometers south in Lagos, another young woman gazed out of a high-rise apartment window in Ikoyi. Ayomide Ajayi, or Aayo, as everyone called her, leaned on the balcony railing, letting the cool breeze ruffle her silk pajamas. The city's skyline twinkled with thousands of lights. From her vantage point, she could see the cars snacking along the Falamo Bridge and the distant neon sign of a new luxury hotel on Victoria Island. It was a view many would envy, yet Ayo's mind was elsewhere, lost in thoughts she rarely shared. Behind her, the spacious living room of her parents' apartment was plushly furnished. Leather sofas, glass center table, large flat screen TV playing a low-volume Nollywood drama. On the wall hung a framed photo of the Ajayi family, Aayo in a graduation gown between her beaming parents. Mr. Adewale Ajayi was a successful businessman, a chief with a shiny title and connections, while Mrs. Morayo Ajayi ran a thriving catering business. They were a respected Yoruba family, well-to-do and deeply rooted in Lagos high society. They had given their only daughter, Ayomide, every comfort in life: the best private schools, summer holidays in London, a brand new car for her 23rd birthday last year. Yet, more than once, Ayo had caught her mother looking at her with an inexplicable sadness, especially on her birthdays. It was as if her parents were keeping a secret locked behind their loving smiles. Tonight, Ayo felt that familiar restlessness. She tapped her phone and scrolled through Instagram aimlessly. Her feed was full of friends posting from a new lounge in Lekki, a cousin's engagement announcement, memes about Lagos traffic. She double-tapped a picture of her friend Fumi posing at a beach, then sighed. Fumi had invited her out tonight, but Ayo had declined. She didn't feel like mingling with the usual crowd, pretending to enjoy music and small talk. Lately, she had been feeling a strange sense of yearning was the only word for what she couldn't quite pin down. A soft knock came on the door. "Come in," Aayo said, turning. Her mother peeked in. Morayo Ajayi was a graceful woman in her 50s, wearing a flowing Ankara kaftan. "My dear, you haven't gone to bed. It's past 11. "I know, Mom, just thinking," Aayo replied, mustering a smile. Morayo joined her on the balcony, looking concerned. "Thinking about what? You've been so quiet these days. Are you worried about your NYSC posting?" She referred to the National Youth Service Corps, a year of service every Nigerian graduate undertakes. Aayo had recently completed her master's degree in economics. Soon, she would be deployed to some state for her service year. "Maybe that's part of it," Aayo lied. "I just have a lot on my mind. I'm fine, really." They stood together, the silence between mother and daughter, filled by the distance of Lagos night life. Morayo suddenly reached out and brushed a strand of hair from Ayo's face. "You know you can talk to me, anything at all," she said softly. There was a quiver in her voice. Aayo looked at her mother's kind eyes. In that moment, she almost voiced the question that had haunted her for years. Why do I feel like something is missing in my life? Instead, she simply hugged her. "I know, Mom. Thank you. I'm okay, I promise. Maybe I just need to get busy. Sitting around here makes me overthink." Morayo smiled and patted her back. "All right. You'll be busy soon enough. And perhaps you even enjoy your NYSC. Who knows? Now try to sleep, Ayomide. Don't stay up too late." "I won't. Good night, Ma." After her mother left, Aayo remained on the balcony a while longer, letting her mind wander. This vague emptiness she felt. It was like reading a book with chapters missing. She had a good life, loving parents, yet she often felt alone in a crowd. Perhaps it was because she had no siblings. As a child, she had begged her parents for a baby brother or sister, not understanding why they exchanged pained glances at her request. Only later did she grasp that she was their miracle child after years of infertility, and no other children would come. She sometimes wished she had at least cousins close by, but most relatives were distant or abroad. So Aayo grew up mostly in the company of nannies, then school friends, learning to be self-sufficient, but secretly longing for a deeper connection. In her bedroom, she passed her dresser where several family photos stood. One was her as a baby being held by her mother on the naming ceremony day. In the photo, baby Ayomide was crying as the Yoruba custom of dripping honey and palm oil on her tongue was performed. The idea being she would speak sweet words and have a smooth life. Aayo often chuckled at her infant self's displeasure at that moment. But tonight, her eyes lingered on the photo. Something about it tugged at her infant's face. For a split second, she had the strangest thought that somewhere in the world, there might be another face that looked just like her. She shook her head. "You're watching too many movies," she muttered to herself, climbing into bed. The AC hummed quietly, and eventually, she drifted into a troubled sleep, where vague dreams swelled up running through a marketplace, chasing someone who looked exactly like her, always just out of reach. The next morning found Ayomide braving the infamous Lagos traffic. Though her parents had a driver, she often preferred to drive herself when the destination was close. It gave her a sense of normalcy and independence. Today, she was heading to the mainland to deliver some document for her father at a client's office, an errand that doubled as a chance for her to get out of the house. In the car, she tuned the radio to Cool FM and bobbed her head as the Burna Boy song played. At a red light in Ikeja, hawkers swarmed. The slowed vehicles selling everything from plantain chips to car chargers. One persistent boy ran beside her window waving a pack of gums. "Auntie, buy something. Bless your gear," he pleaded in a rehearsed chat. Ayomide smiled and handed him a 200 naira note through a crack in the window. "I don't need gum. Take this and be safe." "God bless you, auntie," he beamed before darting off. As traffic inched forward, her phone buzzed via Bluetooth on the car's console. A call from her best friend Fumi. "Aayo, where you dey? I went to your house and they said you have been driving around Lagos today." Fumi's lively voice rang out. "I'm out to errand for my dad." Ayomide laughed. "This your detective skill, eh? Better come and meet me for lunch, oh. I'm at the Palms Mall, VI. Let's catch up. There is gist." Ayo considered. She was halfway across town already. Might as well. "Okay, I'll come after I finish here. In about an hour." "Yes, I'll be waiting at Chicken Republic." "Safe journey, darling. No go carry last in that traffic." As the call ended, Ayo smiled to herself. Fumi always lifted her mood. Perhaps a lunch out was what she needed. By noon, she had completed her father's errand and headed back to Island. Lagos was brawling under the midday sun. Ayomide drove past the sprawling Teju Osho Market area and the National Stadium, joining the trunk to cross Eko Bridge. Vehicles honked and buses jostled. The usual hustle of last giddy life. At one bottleneck, she noticed a dusty interstate bus next to her car with Ibadan Lagos scrawled on its side. Passengers were visible through the open window, looking tired and sweaty. One young woman caught Ayo's eye. She was dozing, her head against the window bar, a loose head scarf half slipping off to reveal short cropped black hair. There was something oddly familiar about her face, even in repose. Ayo stared a moment longer. "She looks like..." The woman stared and opened her eyes, and for one heart-stopping second, their gazes met across the traffic lanes. Ayo's breath caught. Those eyes, that face, it was like looking into a mirror. A honk behind her jolted Ayo. The light had turned green. Startled, she moved forward, losing sight of the bus. Her heart stuttered wildly. What on earth just happened? She craned her neck, but the bus was now behind her, and there was no way to stop on the busy bridge. Calm down, Ayo," she told herself, palms sweaty on the steering wheel. "It's probably just someone who resembles me," she reasoned. After all, people say everyone has a doppelganger somewhere, yet she had never seen a resemblance this uncanny. Ayo glanced in her rearview mirror, half expecting to see the woman's face again, but only saw the chaotic flow of vehicles. By the time she reached the mall, she had almost convinced herself it was a trick of her mind, perhaps the glare of fatigue. Fumi was already at a table digging into fried rice and chicken. "Baby girl, you are looking flushed. Are you okay?" Fumi asked as Ayo sat down. "I'm alright, the heat I guess," Ayo replied, forcing a chuckle. She wasn't ready to explain the weird sighting. It sounded crazy even to her. Instead, she left Fumi chatter on about the latest gossip, who was getting married, whose business was booming. They ate, laughed, and for a while, Ayo relaxed. The incident on the bridge receded to the back of her mind as an odd curiosity. After lunch, the friends strolled through the mall. At a boutique window display of matching ashwabi, uniform party outfits, Fumi suddenly nudged Ayo. "Ah, see that babe in the red top? She looks just like you from the back. Same height and everything." Fumi pointed towards a young woman browsing shoes across the hall. Ayo's stomach tightened. The girl in red had short natural hair, like hers, and was about the same build. Could it be the same person from earlier? Impossible. That bus passenger would only just be arriving at wherever. Lagos is full of lookalikes. She tried to assure herself, but Fumi was already keen. "Let's go and surprise her. I want to see her face." Before Ayo could protest, Fumi had grabbed her hand and marched over. "Hello there. Fumi greeted the girl boldly. Sorry, but my friend here looks exactly like you. We had to say hi. The startled shopper turned around. Ayo's word tilted. It was her. The same young woman from the bus. Now just a few feet apart. The two women stared at each other, eyes wide. It was like looking into a living mirror. Both had the same oval face, the same warm brown complexion, the same nose shape, even a small beauty mark below the left eye. The only noticeable difference was that the stranger had a tiny scar on her forehead, just at the hairline, while Aayo did not. For a moment, none of them spoke. Fumi looked from one to the other, realizing the gravity of the resemblance. Jesu, you two are like photocopy, she blurted in astonishment. The young woman in red found her voice first. Hello, she said softly, her eyes filling with tears even as a nervous smile formed. Please, what is your name? Ayomide. People call me Aayo, Aayo managed to say. Her heart was hammering. She felt a lump in her throat, for reasons she couldn't articulate. The other girl let out a trembling breath. Ayomide, she repeated, as if testing the feel of it. I'm Taiwo, but people call me Tai. Taiwo, Ayomide whispered. Hearing that name sent a shiver through her. Taiwo, the name traditionally given to the firstborn twin in Yoruba culture. And here she was, staring at a woman who looked just like her, named Taiwo. Her mind raced. Could it be? No, it was too incredible. Yet, the facts were lining up like pieces of a puzzle snapping into place. The mall corridor seemed to fall away as the two women moved closer instinctively. Where are you from? Aayo asked urgently. Ibadan. I just came to Lagos today. Tayo's voice caught as she studied Ayo's face. You look so much like me. This cannot be just coincidence. Fumi was gasping, one hand over her mouth. Shoppers flowed around the trio, a few casting curious glances at the two identical girls standing frozen in shock. Ayomide's hands were trembling. She reached out as if to touch Taye's arm to confirm she was real. My parents told me I was their only child, she said, voice unsteady. But my mother had difficulty during childbirth. I don't know much. What about you? Do you know anything? Tears slipped down Taye's cheeks. My mother died when I was little. But my grandma, she told me I had a twin sister who died at birth. She gave a little laugh that turned into a sob. Obviously, that was not true. At this, Ayomide felt a sudden surge of emotion. Her vision blurred. They told you your twin died. They never told me I even had a twin, she whispered. It felt surreal to say the word twin, but looking at Tai, she knew it was true in her bones. Identical twins. An extraordinary rare occurrence for some, but not so rare among the Yoruba. In fact, Yoruba people have one of the highest twin birth rates in the world, and twins are often seen as special blessings, believed to be bestowed joy and prosperity on their family. Yet here they were, a pair of those very blessings, kept apart all their lives. Fumi finally snapped out of her astonished silence. This is a lot, though. Maybe we should sit down somewhere private. She gently took both by the elbow and guided them into the shoe shop's quiet sitting area. The shop attendant looked puzzled but allowed them space upon Fumi's request for just a moment, please. Seated side by side, Aayo and Taye continued to look at each other as if afraid the other might disappear. Taye took a shaky breath and gave a small smile. You are really here. I'm Kehinde's sister. She corrected herself. No, I guess you are Kehinde. Ayo's eyes widened. Kehinde. She knew the name. The traditional second twin name. Her parents hadn't named her that, likely to avoid obvious questions. But the realization that she was born Kehinde sent a chill through her. Kehinde, the one who comes after in Yoruba myth. Kehinde is considered the elder twin spiritually, the one who sent Taiwo out first. A strange sense of deja vu washed over Ayomide. She recalled how her mother always said Aayo was an old soul, careful and reflective, why she had had tales of Taiwo children being adventurous. Looking at Taiwo with her determined posture and the faint scar suggesting some childhood mischief, Ayo couldn't help but smile tearfully. It seems I am Kehinde and you are Taiwo. We truly are twins.